I've been asked several times, is it true that my children and grandchildren won't love me until I understand the difference between triple and double lines in mySewnet? Yes, it is true. Maybe your children will still love you, but I won't. So let's get started. Up here in mySewnet Digitizing, we have our different line styles. The three we're going to be talking about today are running stitch, double stitch, and triple stitch. If you look up here, you'll see the difference. When I have the running stitch, it looks like this. Double stitch looks like the running stitch, but with a D. Triple stitch has a 3. And by D, I meant 2. That is the keyboard shortcut, Control-Shift-D on Mac, Control-Shift-T is triple stitch, and Control-Shift-R is running stitch. Apparently, the Windows version doesn't have those keyboard shortcuts. Sucks to be them. So let's talk really quickly about what the connector is and how these lines are different. So if we say, here's our line, this is a running stitch line. Running stitch line is one line of stitches. It starts here at the S point, and it leaves us here with this little flower. We call that the connector. Down here, a triple stitch also does the same thing. We have a line, it starts here, and the connector is over here at the other end. The double stitch, on the other hand, is special because when the machine sews it, it starts here, goes down, up to the end, and then it comes back. It is a running stitch that goes down and then comes back, and that means the connector is where you started. The connector is important because we're going to clear this screen real fast. If I can remember how to do that. There we go. Hey. And that's control, by the way, it's not command, which is why it gets confusing. So, the running stitch, let's just do this. Why are we a circle now? What button did I press? Somehow I turned on applique. Okay. So, here is a running stitch. Now, let's say I do something here. I want to take this, I want to change my line style. I made a line, I want to connect another line. If I do this, if I click the connector, then they will be attached to each other and the machine will not do a cut when it sews it out. If I don't do this, the machine will tie off here and then start again here. This will make a lot of ugly jump cuts that are going to be annoying to deal with later. So, whenever possible, make sure you click that connector to cut down on that number of jump cuts. This is one of the ways that machine embroidery is different from regular image editing, is that machine embroidery is dynamic. It's the difference between velocity and speed. I had to take high school physics 3 times, and then I had to take entry college level physics twice. None of the times was because I didn't understand the subject matter, it was just bad luck. So now if I need to take something, make it come out here, but then make it connect back into this line, if I turn this into a double stitch, it will do the line, but my connector will be back here where we started. Then we can go back to our running stitch, and we have a line without having lost continuity. The machine will still embroider this as this big swooping line with no cuts, come up here, do this finger, come back, and go back down there. That's the beauty of the connector. So we're going to turn our... Oh, fuck you. Yes, fucking hell. Thank you. Thank you for being helpful. So why did I just do the exact same fucking thing again? So we're going to turn the background on to about 50%. So now we're going to go around this shoe. And we're going to say that we want to do a triple stitch. The triple stitch is a nice sort of outline. We're going to come around here. And then we could go all the way around here and then come back and do the heel with a jump cut. But what I want to do instead, I want to do the heel now. So we're going to go over here. We're going to hit Control-Shift-D to go into double stitch. We're going to take this connector and draw this little line here that connects the Shoo. Now my connector's back here. I can go back to Control D. So now, or Control T. Now I can go back to triple stitch. So now I go down here, all the way down. I promise I know how to use my own program. We go into double stitch to do this piece. And then, because our connector's back here, we can go back to triple stitch to do this part. We're just going to call that good. The other thing is that now I can keep this into smaller line sections. If I keep breaking this into smaller line sections, since I'm connecting them, the machine will still do it as one go, but I don't have to deal too much with this. As you know, mySewnet has you take a line and then you make the line real. I shouldn't do that. So here, I put a triple stitch, I wanted a double stitch, so I'm gonna go into undo, and then I'm gonna switch to triple stitch and do this line this way. Why am I doing it like this when I am just painting myself into a corner? We don't actually know. Anyway, so we get back to double stitch, triple stitch, and we do this. Now, before I got confused with how this worked, okay, so here we are. Now I've put myself in a corner. What do? Take running stitch. We're in running stitch. We just run the stitch right up along this anyway. All right, and now we're back into triple stitch. So we've used that as our little jump protector. You can put a jump cut in there, I just didn't want to. So there's a couple things you should know about this. The first one is that if you make a mistake in your line, you make a line, you say, oh, that's a triple stitch, I wanted it to be a double stitch. If you come over here, go into properties, and then change it to a double stitch, mySewnet is not smart enough to move the connector back down to the start point. It will actually just mess up here and do a cut when you're done. So what you need to do instead is just get rid of the line and trace it again. And that is one of the reasons why it's useful to do short lines that are connected instead of trying to do one very long line. As you know, in lines in mySewnet, you have the theoretical line, which is the points we're putting here, and then you make it real. You hit enter or you right click, whatever you're doing. And if you break your lines into shorter pieces before you make them real, you will have fewer mistakes. And that's why this looks beautiful. And when we go over here, that's a butterfly. See how good that looks? The man your man can smell like. I'm on a horse. There we go.